I'm just going to outline the marriage and civil partnership section. So marriage and civil partnerships are legally protected characteristics under the Equality Act. And taking this information helps us meet our responsibilities under equality legislation and understand marriage status in our citizens, allowing us to consider how we are meeting their needs. Next slide, please. So this slide shows the national and local context. Nationally, the numbers of adults who've never been married or been in a civil partnership has been increasing each decade, rising from around 26% in 2011 to around 38% in 2021. As we can see from the visual on the left, Birmingham is above the national average for people never having been married or in a civil partnership, with almost 45% never been married. Next slide, please. So why capture this information? Well, for individual care, it helps us understand the social and cultural factors influencing choices and preferences around marriage and civil partnerships, and it helps us to identify the needs of citizens. Regarding service improvement, it helps us identify needs and preferences of different groups. It aids in the design and delivery of inclusive services, and it can also help us to understand the barriers and facilitators that influence uptake of and engagement in our services. Next slide, please. So this slide shows the relationships and marriage questions from the census. It's in two parts. The first part asks about legal, marital or registered civil partnership status with the various options listed below, including the option to not answer. For the second part, it asks who or was your legal marriage or civil partnership to, with the answers being based around sex, someone of the opposite or same sex, and again, the option not to answer. Next slide, please. So there's some issues to consider around these questions. They only cover legal status, so they don't include cohabitation as per the census. Cohabitation would need to be identified in a separate question, the living arrangements question. The second part of the question has got issues around disclosure. If a person has not disclosed their sexual orientation, they may not wish to answer this question. And to fully understand living arrangements of citizens, an additional question will be required to capture this information, which we'll show on the next slide, please. So this slide shows the suggested additional questions around living arrangements, which ask people who they're currently living with. This will tell us whether or not people are living alone and exactly who they are currently living with. This question includes the option to tick more than one answer to give a fuller picture of living arrangements, as well as, again, the option to not answer this question. So I'll pass back to Jenny for the second